Hey, and good morning. And here's part 2 of Philippians 2:5. Have this attitude in yourselves, which was also in Christ Jesus. The way of humility is not the way of the world. It is especially not the choice of its honored leaders, who are expected to take the very best of everything for themselves. They are accorded the highest places of honor and respect, and they are expected to be served rather than to serve. Jesus described the scribes and the Pharisees as men who, quote, tie up heavy burdens and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves are unwilling to move them with so much as a finger. But they do all their deeds to be noticed by men, for they broaden their phylacteries and lengthen the tassels on their garments. They love the place of honor at banquets and chief seats in the synagogues, and respectful greetings in the marketplaces, and being called rabbi by men. Most of the Jews of Jesus' day, including the 12 for most of his ministry, expected the Messiah to come as a conquering, reigning, and highly honored deliverer. Like those Jews, if Christians were somehow by themselves to imagine a plan for the incarnation of God's Son, they doubtless would have expected him to have been born into a prominent family and attend the finest schools. He would be surrounded by the brightest minds and the most capable helpers, and live in regal splendor with countless assistants to do his bidding and satisfy his every need and want. He would have constant protection from physical danger and from destructive criticism, and he would deserve it all. But that was not God's way. His only begotten Son was born into the humblest of families, in the humblest of places. In the eyes of those around him, including his own family and friends, he lived an unexceptional life. The 12 men he chose to be his apostles were, with the possible exception of Matthew, common men with little education, skills, or position. He submitted to every humiliation and indignity from his enemies and refused to defend himself. The highest of all became the lowest of all. Obviously, believers cannot follow the example of Christ's deity, incarnation, moral and spiritual perfection, miracles, or redemptive work. But they are commanded to follow his example of humility, as expressed in his incarnation. In marked contrast to the glory-loving scribes and Pharisees, Jesus commanded his followers not to, quote from Matthew, not to be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, and you are all brothers. Do not call anyone on earth your father, for one is your Father, he who is in heaven. Do not be called leaders, for one is your leader, that is Christ. But the greatest among you shall be your servant. Whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, and whoever humbles himself shall be exalted. As he expounded Jesus' ethically flawless example of humility, Paul also chronicled theologically the descent of the Son of God from heaven to earth, describing the exalted position that he left, then presenting a series of downward steps from that glory and honor to ever-increasing indignity. These parallel categories will be dealt with together in regard to each of the descending stages mentioned in the passage. So, more to follow. Thanks. Appreciate your comments. Love you guys. Bye.